one of the things that visualizations allow is the ability to show uncertainty. Now, if you're doing statistics and you do a variance or a standard deviation, that helps, but a lot of times it's really hard to fathom, what exactly does that mean? We're going to use violin charts here to show some uncertainty around the distribution of data. And so let's go ahead and do that. The question we ask is, what is the distribution of SKU gross margins by Fruity Fruit, both by product and by location? And we're going to do that using violin plots. So let's go ahead and upload the data and see if we can get this started. All right, so here's the data. Here is the SKU, the description, whether it be international or the region, and the sales price, the cost, the gross margin, and the profit. And so a lot of this has already been computed, so we're ready to do that. I often like to look all the way down and make sure it has all the data, and this looks like it does, and so I won't ask it any more questions. But I'd like to go ahead and show the data dictionary. That's kind of just defining the variables that are in there so we can kind of see what it thinks, because I haven't otherwise instructed it to do anything. I've just uploaded the data, and based on the things it knows or could put together, was able to put that together. So it looks like there's 81 observations. It looks like these are numbers. These are alphanumeric, so they're object, not numbers. And I kind of see how many. It looks like there's 4 different unique values for location and some others. So it looks like sometimes the sales price and cost per pound are repeated, which is absolutely fine. So the first thing we're going to ask it to do is to provide a violin chart by gross margin percentages. Okay, and so we're supposed to show this by SKU. And so sometimes if we ask ChatGPT to do something, it doesn't know what to do. It's not like it's dumb, it's just doesn't know exactly what to do. And so this simply shows the gross margins by SKU, but it's not really that informative because it's showing what it is for every SKU. I can't even really read it, and so it seems to be mostly ineffective. And so now instead of by product, I'm just going to ask it to show it overall. Since the data is already in product form, so each line is a different SKU or product, then it's going to be able to provide me a violin chart of those gross margin percentages. And violin chart is just really a way to see, so look, it's the count, how many of them, so the wider this is, the more of them, and then it goes from the lowest to the highest. It's just another way, it's kind of like a histogram done in a little bit different way, but you can kind of see the uncertainty there of, is it high, is it low, where does it occur, based on gross margin percentage. But can you see why this one worked? Because it was already sorted by SKU, whereas this one was not. This just says, okay, high to low, I can do that. Okay, so now that we have that, we know that we have various locations, and now we want to say, okay, what does this look like by location? So again, we want gross margin percentages. Now it didn't work by SKU because it's already sorted by SKU, but location, there's just 4 locations. So we're going to see what these violin charts look like by location. You can see some pretty wide differences in how these look. So Southeast is more extreme, Southeast look to be more skewed. Really Northwest, Northeast might look similar, but Southeast certainly looks different. And that's kind of the uncertainty we're trying to provide, is there's much more on this end than otherwise would be. The last thing we're asked to do in this lab is just to provide, to tell the story, which often cases means just give me an output. I mean, these visualizations are already kind of the story that we can encapsulate, and now we're just going to output them for use. Now you could just hit this downward arrow and get it to provide an output, but it doesn't give you a file name, so it's kind of less useful, and then I have to go find it and go describe it, whereas the lab instructions ask us to name it something specific, and so it does, and so we're able to download that visualization and it'll show up the same place. The last thing I always ask it to do is to provide, to display or download the prompts used. And I'd like kind of keeping that as a backup so then I know exactly what I asked it to do. Should I be asked questions later or want to perform it again in the future, might be better to just start on what I've done before. So that completes this lab.